Welcome to the Kingdom Life Unfiltered podcast. I'm Janeen Marino, and today I have my husband, Jay, here with me, and we're going to share a little bit more of our story. So, why don't we start with the beginning? So, I feel like it's such a God story just looking at where we started in high school. We were high school sweethearts, and the journey that it took us even to like get back together and then come into more of a relationship with the Lord. So do you want to share a little bit from your perspective how it started?
For us.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so yeah, we let's see, I was what, a senior or a junior, and you were what, a freshman-ish, sophomore, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Gosh, memory's getting fuzzy. But yeah, so we met and we kind of hit it off pretty well right away. There was just something about you that was just different. You were, and I was telling the kids this the other day, you were absolutely fearless. And that's something that you just didn't see often, and there were just a lot of refreshing attributes, especially for a girl, to hang out with and have as a girlfriend that was just so different. And so yeah, it was an incredible journey. We absolutely, it's like one of those things like that puppy dog love where you're like, the world ends if you have an argument, and it's just, you're trying to navigate relationships and communication and, kind of figure things out as you're kind of like meshing lives together. And
It was messy too.
very
It was very
messy,
messy.
very
It was
messy.
very messy. Like my parents were in the middle of a really nasty divorce,
Mm.
and it was just, and the first time we broke up a couple of times. And I feel like we should back up for a second because the way we actually met was crazy. I saw him at school
Mhm.
in the weight room,
Oh yeah.
in the like basement of the gym. I was walking around the track and the weight room was like in the middle.
Wait, was I wearing those short shorts?
Oh gosh,
The
I don't
gym.
remember that. But I remember seeing him, and I wasn't the kind of girl that was like boy crazy. Like I wasn't like, oh, he's so cute. Like I that just wasn't my personality. But I saw him, so I looked him up in the yearbook. So I went home that day and I looked him up in the yearbook, and there was friends over. I always had people over. And the one of the guys that was over was like, "What are you looking at?" And I kind of like blushed, which was not common for me. And so he like came and looked, and he was like, "Oh, I know that guy. That's Jay." And I didn't know that because it said Joseph, because that's his first name.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." And I like closed the book and just put it away and was like, whatever. And but he could tell that like I thought he was cute or whatever. And so he took a picture of me, wrote my phone number on the back of it,
Mm.
and gave it to Jay the next day.
Dude, what a
Oh
matchmaker.
my
Little
goodness.
Frank. Shout out to Frank Dog, man. Yeah, thanks.
Oh,
Thanks for that lead.
yes. Me the next
What
day.
does a good entrepreneur do when you get a lead? You follow up. The fortune's in the follow-up,
Oh my goodness.
you
And so
know.
when my mom was like, Janine, Jay's on the phone, I was like, what? I almost didn't pick it up. I was like, I'm not going to do that.
Cold call. Don't be afraid to cold call. Put yourself out there. You never know.
Oh gosh.
It could change your life. That
Oh,
call
so
changed my life.
so then he's like, well, come tomorrow and come like meet me at school. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. So I got all ready, I got to school, and I was like, I'm not doing that.
Ghosted. Ghosted. Before ghosted was invented, I was ghosted.
So I was like way too shy. There was like no way I was gonna go walk up to him at school. And so he called me again the next day.
I'm not giving up. You don't give up. That's right.
So, anyways, I can't remember all like the little details, but I do remember that his car was like in the shop. And so he was like, well, I'm going to come over. And so once he got his car back, he came to my house.
That's
And that
right.
was how we met.
You set the appointment. You go in. Yep. And I remember most guys, I think they would, maybe bring something, you'd maybe bring some flowers, but I thought, you know what, instead of bringing flowers for her, I'll bring flowers for her mom. So I came in and brought flowers for her mom, and she was just so excited. She was in love, and so yeah, she was like, okay, this is a good guy. I needed to show that, there's this guy calling me, that I'm not a crazy, some stalker, that I was a good guy, I had good values.
Yeah. So, and then, so we just like, I don't know, I'll never forget the way I felt. Like,
Mhm.
it just was something that I could not explain and was just different than any other experience that I'd ever had with a guy. And so, but it was also very volatile because of our lives and just the things going on. And I mean, we were not like, we were kind of, I was very rebellious.
Yeah.
I did a lot of drugs,
Yeah.
drank a lot. And so
Late 90s, weed,
was,
alcohol, cigarettes,
oh, it was bad.
daily, wherever you're at. And it felt like the norm. Like that
Yeah.
was just
Well,
everybody's
and it's
wasted.
just like what the homes that we grew up in, like that's just what we were used to.
Mhm.
I remember the first time we broke up, because we broke up a couple of times in there. The first time was because my life was too hard for him, because there was so much drama and
Yeah.
traumatic things happening in my life that it was like, how do we even live through this?
Mhm.
And I remember like, and I kind of went off the deep end after that, and it was so messy. But let's bring it back to then. I think the last time probably we broke up was a little bit more of you're going in this direction and I'm going in that direction. And I think it was more of like, you were like, I'm ready to settle down. I'm like, got my career. You were working you were doing Primerica. I
Right.
was much more like, I'm going to travel. I want to
Yeah.
wander around.
She
And
wanted to save the world, go on missions. Wasn't even really Christian.
go help people.
She wanted it, and I'm like, dude, you're wild. You're wild. You're out of pocket here. You are wanting to run around. I got like my whole life, like you get stable, you get a career, you get a house, family, whatever, and kind of move. When you're 18, 19,
Yeah.
you're in that mindset of like, okay, I got my whole life ahead of me. What does my future look like? And she's like, we're gonna go. I'm like, I'm not flying around. I'm not doing that. But our personalities, I still just always just loved your spirit and everything about you inside. You were a bit of a rebellious creature. That was tough, and it was hard. I had to, like, let me just say, I never lost feelings, but I had to just stop it and cut it off, because
Same.
there was something inside of me that was burning, saying you need to get, a business, you need to like get these things done. And we couldn't do that at the time. Her life was chaos. She at times flourished in chaos, other times not, but like chaos was her normal. And that was not a place that I wanted to hang out at all, was a place of chaos. And so I had to, like, you know what, I'm just gonna have to cut it. And we parted ways. And but it's funny because that is still rooted in both of us, that part of it, to where sometimes I've got to like reel her back in, and other times she's got to break me out of my shell.
Yeah.
And so like it works really well. Now the dynamic of it, um, we kind of help balance each other out, right? Like opposites attract and all that sort of thing. Like it, and it may have been a little wild for us, like at that age, but now where we're at, we understand where we both came from. I think it's a great compliment because, I wouldn't have had um, as I don't even know how to explain the life that we have because it's not extravagant, but there's this exciting, adventurous life that we have together that I would have never in a million years been able to design or put together, nor would I would have wanted to do
He would
that
still
back
be
then.
living in Woodridge.
It would have been like we're staying at home, and there's a bit of that homebody in there.
Well,
So
let's fast forward a little bit of what happened, 10 years later. So it was 10 years later that we, met again, and we were both had both been married.
we both married other people.
So we were both separated.
Yeah, and we were both separated. Yeah.
I had Dominic, so I was a single mom, and we just like, and again, it was messy. I mean, you can imagine, right?
Well, I was having a party at my house with just the guys. I was just getting out of a divorce and I was like, I didn't even want any girls over. Like, I'm just like, dude, just the guys, man. Let's just bro it up. We'll drink some beers. Like, we need to, like, I'm just this divorce and everything going on. I'm like, we just need the guys. And I had a friend of mine was coming over. He's like, hey, yeah, so I was gonna like come by, but I was gonna hang out with Janeen. I don't know. And I'm like, what? Like, that's weird. But he's like, is it okay if we come over? Is it okay if I bring her over? He was asking. I don't even know if you knew
I
he
didn't
asked
know
or if
that.
you say that he
No,
asked or whatever.
up somewhere. So I called him, was like,
Where are we meeting up?
the
Yeah, of course, she's got to pee because she's got the bladder of a squirrel. And so he, hey, can we come over? I bring her. I'm like, yeah, like because I had buried those feelings down and shoved so much crap on top of them that I'm thinking, I haven't seen those feelings in so long. There's no way that they could possibly still be there. And, a few more beers and the layers came off. And I realized this is a thing still. There is and I didn't even know that was possible. I really didn't. And I didn't even like want to talk, like didn't even want to like talk to another girl that night. And then that's when she walked in, and I was like, all right,
timing.
that's interesting. Thank you, God, for doing that, by the way.
Yeah.
Because he definitely
Honestly, we probably wouldn't have even come other than I really had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I suppose I could have stopped at a gas station. I didn't even think of that. Didn't cross my mind. But
so your small bladder came into play. That really kind of brought us back together. So thank God for that.
So
that's incredible. That's
kind of how it started, right? And then I feel like there was a lot of like, it was a messy start with us both being in a getting a divorce, and very quickly though.
Well, let's not divulge a lot of details, but I will just say, I will say this. My previous marriage, I was together with this lady for 10 years, and things were fine for most of it, but we never wanted kids. It was like there was something inside of me that like I always wanted to be a dad. Like there was always that fatherhood thing. Like I always felt like, and everybody around me saw me as like he's gonna be a dad. Like they're like, we're just waiting for the dad part to happen. And our lives were such, it was one of those things like you don't know what you're missing until you have it. And so like our, things were fine. Like life is way easier without kids. I'm not saying to like to make that a thing, but and it was just we were used to our particular life, and it never like I never really thought like, man, I really, really, really want kids. And it just never, I didn't feel that. And until we got back together. And when we got back together, it was like full steam ahead. I've wasted so much time not starting a family. We're going to start a family. Whether she knows it or not, we are starting a family. We are getting on board. We are going to make this happen because there was this love early on, and there was like these such strong feelings when we were younger and everything, that like we thought we had visualized when we were younger being married, having kids, and so many times doing that to
I
where
have a daughter's name picked out. We have all boys.
we have 5 boys, yeah, including Dominic. So daughter's name never came into play, but it was just like, hey, let's, and it just felt like we need to fulfill this thing and make it happen. So it was our families thought we were crazy, that we were nuts. I remember my dad like, what are you doing? I'm like, I even had one of my employees was like, bro, and I'm like, look, you guys don't know. All right. Like, I know it looks like crazy. It looks like you may not know, like, it just, you just don't know. Um, you just don't know where we're at in our story. And like, so it's just, like, God was working in our life, even though like we weren't really knowing that, but he had his hands in our life, at that age, just seeing us through, protecting us. And there was a story that was going to be told. And so although it didn't look like faith in action, I guess, right? Like it wouldn't look good on the outside. I mean,
I
don't
had just
get me
gotten
wrong.
baptized too.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
it was like,
We're
oh
figuring it
my
out.
word.
You figure it out, for sure.
Yeah. So we ended up having Gavin
Yep.
and then getting married.
Yep. I think he was the best man
He
at our
was,
wedding.
yes,
He was
even
on
even
stage.
walked me down the aisle.
Dominic, what? Yeah. Yeah.
So that was really sweet. And then we really started kind of digging into our faith a little bit more, and God just started working in our lives. I remember, I mean, it was still a couple of years of drinking and just, figuring things out, but I think but it was amazing. It was
God's
pretty.
calling.
But then, like, take me through a little bit from your perspective of our faith journey with all of that.
So, we started going to a few churches. So I don't know, maybe I should explain where I was at.
Yeah.
I was brought up Catholic. I went to CCD on Sunday, every Sunday till like 8th grade. And CCD was weird. It was like all the bad kids went there. I don't know. I felt like I didn't really belong in that class. But I did, I mean, I did learn things and whatnot, but it was an incredible amount of time. I remember doing the graduation, going through all the things. And I like after a while, I remember telling my dad, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And he was like, look, he's like, you're like so close to like doing your confirmation and all. He's like, just finish it out. It's not going to be that much longer. And I'm like, all right. So Finished it out, and after CCD, so like you're in eighth grade or whatever, like we were pretty much just like we would go to church on Christmas, on Easter, maybe a couple times in between, but we were not really going to church very often. We didn't do a lot of prayer, like as a family. We didn't read the Bible much. We just, my house was, my mom was an alcoholic. My dad was working all the time. My mom died in 2005 from alcohol. So it was just kind of like one of those houses. It was a party house, and that's kind of where it came from. And so, a lot of that stuff kind of got drowned out. And I didn't have really a good, strong relationship. Like I was a believer, believed in Jesus, died for our sins, rose again. Like I was a believer. I was just not really applying any of it in my life. And then we started hitting up a few more churches, and like I was not used to or had ever been to like a Christian church or like non-denominational church or anything. And so it was new to me. I was used to the Catholic thing, you're kind of falling asleep halfway through, like you're doing the Eucharist. And my grandma would take me to church. I couldn't even tell what they were saying. The echo and audio was so horrible. There's just a lot of hymns, and I'm not disrespecting anything. Like if you do any of that, like I get it. It wasn't for me. Like I had a hard time um feeling connected that way. And then once we started going to a couple non-denominational churches, it was laid out to me in a way that I was like, oh, like all of a sudden the light went on. Like I remember we went to an Easter service at Parkview, and it's like I'm not hearing anything like new really. Like it's all but the delivery, the way that it was done. I was like, I remember thinking like I had so many questions answered in that one service that I didn't even know I had questions to. Like there was so much clarity in different areas. And then I knew that this is what I wanted. This now I get it. Now I understand. This is what I'm gonna follow. And I saw it in the people that attended the church. Like I saw Jesus. Like I felt the Holy Spirit there.
Yeah.
And I didn't always feel that at other churches. Again, I mean, it's up to you what church you go to, if you feel it or not. I didn't feel it at a lot of places. So when I went there and I felt the Holy Spirit, I felt moved. I felt like I had a leader and a pastor there that was delivering the word in a way that could be digested and land on my heart. Like maybe God had opened me up just enough to where it's landing. And they had coffee and they watched your kids the whole time. And having young kids, like I was able to think for a few minutes, you know. Yeah. Yeah.
Coffee, childcare.
Oh man, unbelievable. But it was just great. I mean, the people there were great in the community. And so seeing God work in like other people's lives that were also, you're like, okay, I want that. Okay, I see, and seeing the fruit of the spirit work was like was incredible. It was a life changer, for me.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And just watching you go through that, I mean, we were going through it together, really. I mean, it was very much just diving in, and I feel like I started to really lean on him in life for
Mm.
the first time, and it started to feel different and look different, and I started to see him show up more. And in so many times, I feel like, whether it was financial or even, we had after Gavin, we had a late, we lost, pregnancy. It was second trimester. It was a hard time, but gosh, I felt God show up. I just felt his presence in
Mm.
in that time so much. And so it just, I feel like we started seeing him work more. And so that really started, I think, our journey of just wanting to live more for him and put him first in everything that we do.
Well, and I had spent so much of my life chasing a feeling in alcohol or weed or different drugs or, whatever it was, whatever I could lean on. And then when I felt filled by the Spirit, and when you feel God nearby, it was like, oh, there's something better. There is something there that is sustainable. There's something there that's real, and it's powerful, but it's also loving, and it cares for you, and you feel peace even in the turmoil. You feel like what we were going through to be delivered this message of peace and this feeling. And um I've never, we went on a mission trip too. I mean, you had went on one, then I had went on one, and I remember a few different times we had gone on a few different mission trips, and just being surrounded by other like believers who are like all in and doing work for somebody else and trying to help out and like either spread the word or just help deliver God's love wherever it was. And you just feel that, and you're like, wow, this is a thing that I can get, and it's like free. It doesn't come in a bottle. Like, it doesn't have any negative side effects, right? Like, it's just and you just like, okay, let's be there as much as we can,
Right.
and it was just our son had a bad accident, and we got to the point where he got ran over by a car, and he was not breathing well. He had like 6 fractured ribs, and his hip was damaged,
We'll have to
and
tell that full story at some point.
yeah, and just, but we felt going through that, there was a point where they took him away, and we didn't know what his fate would be. And as parents, of this 2-year-old, it was there is not a pain that um that you could feel when you have like a perfect child. Like, he had not sinned yet at 2.
He
Like,
was so such a
he
joyful little
he
guy.
he did
Still is.
not make any wrong choices yet, and yet he was fighting for his life. And we knelt down and prayed, and felt God come through in a way that was so monumental, brought our son back, and started the healing process of him and us. And just remember being in the church, just being like, finally, like, my perspective is aligned, where like now I see how God sees things, right? Because like, you know the Bible tells us to like not be of this world, right? And so like but it's hard because you're in the world, right? Like you have bills to pay, you've got a car that needs work, you're doing life, you're doing this comes up, and it's very easy to just get caught up in the daily details and work and all the and my priorities weren't aligned with what God wanted my priorities to be, and how they should be. And it was like when that happened, there was this shift of, okay, this is actually how, because we spent 21 days in the hospital without our other children. So we had all this time to pray
Yeah.
and to read the Bible and to be close to our son and to feel the feels and go through this transformation, all of
Right.
us. That I remember leaving the hospital and being in the hospital, like I see so clearly. Like it's when you look through God's eyes, it's like putting on the glasses for the first time and you're like, oh, that's how everything looks.
Yeah.
And it looks beautiful. And I was looking at it a different way and I could kind of see, but it was blurry.
Yeah. And we left that hospital not knowing if he would walk again, but I knew. I just like I just knew God was going to come through. I just oh gosh, that was just the most wild faith I'd ever had in my life,
Yeah.
for sure. So since then, we have we lived in Colorado when that happened. We had traveled full time in our RV for a year.
Traveling lady
And
convinced me
you know what? So
to live in a
we'll
motorhome
have to
and
do a
travel
whole
around.
story on
It's
our
incredible.
travel story,
I'm
because
glad we did, but
that's a God story too. Oh, look at that hummingbird. And so now we are in Peru, and we have been traveling for about 2 years now, uh, world traveling, and just it's been such a faith journey of trying to just live out our life in obedience to Him. And so I don't know, it's crazy to think where we came from and where we are now.
yeah, it really is. I mean, I don't think there's any other way because like if you would have taken and written things down from where we were at one point to where we are now, like it wouldn't like you couldn't have written it out like even as a movie, like it was like crazy how and like only God does that,
Yeah.
like to where he shows up like that, and it's been an incredible journey. We spent a bunch of time in Southeast Asia, the Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand. Absolutely love it there. We spent some time at 3 different orphanages in 3 different countries. We've been in South America for a while now: Argentina, Chile, Brazil. We're in Peru. And it's been wild to be kind of going around and seeing, but leading our life in a way of like, okay, where do you want us, God? Like, how do we follow your direction, and being obedient.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's wrap this up. We have many stories to share in the future, but we'll go a little bit deeper into some of those in future episodes. But I don't know, anything you want to leave people with before we?
The only thing I'll leave people with is just, so there's a saying, this time shall pass, and that's something that like, um, you know, even in the Bible, was it Solomon that asked him to bring a ring that gave him these different feelings of like, I can't even explain the whole story, but like if you're in a season of, this is hard, it's only temporary, and maybe there's some work that's got to be done. There's many stories in the Bible about going through the desert and just like whatever that is for you, like, is this a desert time? To where maybe there's some things that you need to sacrifice or some things that need to be changed. And I feel like a lot of times we like God is like pruning us and we're trying to tape the branches back on and like, no, 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 we want that on there, and God's like, but I know what's best for you. So if you're in that season, the only thing that I'd leave you with is just continue to lean on him, continue to pray, because it's just temporary.
Yeah.
It's, things are going to change, and they can change overnight. Sometimes things that seem like, oh, I'm never gonna, first of all, don't speak that on yourself.
Yeah.
But like it can, like immediately, like it can change. Like it doesn't need to be a slow, gradual process of wherever you want to go. Like it could literally change overnight for you. So keep that in mind.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you. Well, thanks for joining us. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and leave us a review, and we'll be back again soon.
God bless.